Hello, Femmes. Happy Monday. I am Violette Ayala. I'm the founder of FemCity, and you're joining us today for our first panel discussion in the month of December. We thought it would be a lot of fun to pull in a bunch of our FemCity Global members and have these conversations together more in a group setting. This will give you the opportunity to actually learn expertise, wisdom from multiple of our Femmes, our team of experts that we love so much. And so today we're going to talk about personal finances. And the reason why we are talking about personal finances is because my intention, along with these beautiful Femmes, our intention is to help you navigate the end of 2020 and prepare for a very successful 2021. So I know that 2020 has been filled with a lot of challenges for all of our Femmes. And I think that as we talk more about money and we talk more about our personal finances, it becomes really a great habit to have it on the front of our minds. It also makes it very comfortable for all of us to share it more and more. And I always feel like the things that we focus on the most are the things that we see grow and expand in our life. So it's really important for us to have that conversation. And we encourage you to follow the conversation as well. If you're watching it live, feel free to ask questions. We're here to serve you. We're here to help you. We want to benefit you. So if there's a question that you have on the topic, please don't hesitate to comment on the feed. And if you're watching this later on in the FemCity library, again, feel free to reach out to all of these experts. They're here to help you, and they're easy to find on our speaker and teachers page. And of course, I'll have some places on the library so that you can easily contact them as well. So before we get started, you're probably thinking, I have no idea who these Femmes are. Perhaps you do. I know Amanda's taught a couple classes, and Carol, actually all of you have taught classes for FemCity, but perhaps some of our non-members have no idea who you guys are. So I thought it'd be really great for you guys to just take about a minute and share who you are, what you do, what your passion is, and then we can go ahead and get started with the conversation on personal finances. So let's go to Amanda. Amanda, share a bit about who you are, your background when it comes to personal finances, and also what you're passionate about when it comes to teaching women about financing.
Thank you, Violet. My name is Amanda Davis. I own Deluxe Solutions. I provide bookkeeping services to small businesses. When it comes to personal finances, a lot of the people that will come and talk to me are because they are ready to start really paying attention to their financial statements and tying it to how it really affects their personal finances. I'm ready to quit my job. And how do I look at my financial records to make sure that I'm successfully going to do that and not feel so stressed and bogged down by it? So, good stuff.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Amanda. Let's go over to Carol.
Hello, everyone. I am Carol Ward, and I'm a mindset money coach. So I help business owners manage their beliefs about money so that they can increase their sales, reduce any missed opportunities, and increase their self-confidence along the way. I use my experience and my skills and my knowledge that I've gained as a CPA. I was a controller for many years for a software company, so I'm bringing all that experience about money with me. And I'm also an NLP practitioner, a master practitioner. So I look at money from the hard, cold cash, and as well from the heart center, emotional way as well. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks. Dawn?
Hi, everybody. My name is Dawn Santoriello, and I'm the founder and I'm a certified financial planner of BS Financial Strategies. And I help women reach their financial goals with peace of mind and economic confidence. And my passion is showing people how to clear their money block so that they can really see the truth about how money really works. Because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So I'm just here to shed light and help people.
Awesome. Awesome. And Stephanie?
Hi, everybody. Stephanie McCullough. I'm founder of Sophia Financial. I've been a financial advisor 23 years now, and I really practice holistic financial planning, which means, yes, we do investment management, but that's one small piece of the whole puzzle. We're looking at cash flow. We're looking at what's going on in your head, how do you feel about money, as well as should you be converting to a Roth IRA and all that kind of stuff.
Love it, love it. And so just so you guys know that they're all scattered around the country. So we have Amanda's in Des Moines, Dawn and Stephanie are in Philly, and Carol is all the way in Toronto and Richmond Hill. So we have the gamut. We're missing probably one in California. That's the last one that maybe for the future we'll go ahead and add in. So let's talk about personal finances and why we should care about them. What's the big deal? Because someone might be watching right now and saying, I who cares about personal finance? Why does it even matter to me? Why do you think it's important for us to have that conversation with women? And let's do the same round. Amanda, Carol, Dawn, and Stephanie.
I'm only going to drop just a little bit on this. I was just thumbing through my Facebook memories. They can be good and they can be bad. But 10 years ago today, I started looking for my very first house. And I had no idea how I was going to do that. So I spent 5 years before that trying to figure out a budget and at least being mindful of it. Thumbing through my bank account records and getting a good idea of what I had and if I was saving money, but I still didn't do it right. So I'm going to let somebody else kind of talk about how to do it right.
I love that. Carol?
Sure. One thing that I really rely on is the budget. The budget really streamlines all the expenses. To me, it's a snapshot. And I call it the magical snapshot because it shows the income and revenue coming in and it shows ways to control your spending. And notice I said control because we could choose at any moment how we want to spend that expense. Do we want to spend it a lot on dining? Or do we want to take that money and put it towards paying off our debt, which will free us up so that we can have extra money to start investing? So for me, budget, and Violette, you probably hear me sing this song over and over. Budget for me is magical. It's a tool as business owners that we really need to start using. And not just have a budget and keep it in place. We as human beings, we are flexible. We change all the time. Our situation changed. COVID-19, here we are in a totally different circumstance. So our budget have to reflect the situations and the changes that are going on with us. So that's one thing I will say, definitely budget, and track it. Don't just have it there and leave it. You need to follow up monthly. And I'll leave someone else, one of you lovely ladies, to talk about cash flow because that's my second king. Cash flow. But I don't want to take the shells, so I'll leave it to someone else. Thanks.
Dawn?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, why should you care about your personal finances? Because money is the way we exchange goods and services. So unless there's some other way, which obviously there isn't anymore, you need to focus on your money and you need to care. And like Carol said, it's all about cash flow. You cannot do anything unless you know exactly where you are, what you're working with, what you have to spend. That's the huge thing. People, especially best business owners, we're so busy. So we just, we have money coming in. I'm going to go spend it over here. We really have nothing to track that. And we're so busy. We need some simple solution, which is also why I came out with my cash flow management program, which you've probably seen in the thing, Get Real With Your Money, because that's the first step. You can't do anything unless you know where you are. So tracking is important, and money is a way of life. So we got to get a handle on it because, as someone mentioned, life constantly changes. So you need to look at what you're doing. Don't rely on like your husband or your spouse, someone else. You need to be responsible for you because that's how you're going to be successful in life. Take responsibility and ownership for your own personal financial situation.
Love that. Stephanie, want anything to that?
Yeah. So, so many of my clients especially feel really stressed about the money stuff, and they feel so anxious when I force them to think about it, and they'd rather not think about it. But the thing is, when you feel that kind of anxiety and stress and the not knowing and the out of control, the solution to that is to pay attention and to look at your money. Money is connected to all the most important parts of our lives, our feelings of self-worth, our security, our relationships, our careers, and fulfillment. We have to pay attention to it. So yeah, I think it's really crucial, and I agree with everything everyone else said.
Yeah, I love that. I was thinking about one of my mentors is Joan Barnes, the founder of Gymboree. And one day we were talking about business numbers. This is many years ago. And she was like, Violet, you need to know your numbers. You need to know your numbers. And I thought I did. I was like, I know them. And she's like, no, you need to really know your numbers. And I tell you, I look at my budget almost every day. I also connect what the charges are. So I go through my bank statements to make sure that they're in alignment with my budget, right? Because you can create a budget, but then if the actual numbers don't match up to that, you have no idea really, is it a good alignment? And so I kept hearing as I was listening to you guys share, I was thinking about Joan and like just hammering that in. And I want to touch upon something else that you all mentioned is that for whatever reason, sometimes we're so fearful, perhaps because we're in a really bad financial situation and we don't want to look at it because it's going to be so bad, right? It's been a bad year. I know someone yesterday, I heard a story of someone who lost their job. And so they're 4 months behind. They just got a new job, but they're 4 months behind. And then how do you address those 4 years? And I know it's really easy to close our eyes and wish it to go away. But the truth is that it's just not going to go away. And I love that, Dawn, you mentioned, whether it's your spouse, your partner, your loved one, take accountability, because that's the other thing I see a lot of women not doing is that they're not taking accountability. They're trusting somebody else and they're kind of pushing it aside. And then sometimes life changes and then they're stuck in a situation where they're a little bit blindsided. So my next question then for you guys is, what are some ways that femmes can start to take on the personal finances? And let's assume that we're talking to someone who is a little disconnected from their finances right now. They're a little bit upside down. They really don't know where they stand. They feel quite overwhelmed. And they're feeling like there's no point on looking at it because there's nothing they can do. So what would be the advice that you would give to them for someone who's really starting to prepare for 2021, knows they need to do what you guys all said, but they don't know how to start? And let's do the same, Amanda, Carol, Dawn, and Stephanie.
So at the beginning of that post, it was 10 years ago, I was jobless. I had no idea what my monthly needs were on my bank account, but I knew that I needed to prioritize my self-care. So the first thing that I did is I made sure to run through my bank for a whole year and then start doing a habit on a monthly basis, because our habits are key in how we make changes. So the first of the month, look at last month and what is your goal? And make sure it's realistic. We don't need to be out of control on our thoughts, so that way our finances can spiral even more out of control. Make sure it's realistic. So if you don't have a job, at minimum, you need to know what your monthly needs. How much is your rent? How much is your house payment? How much are your utility bills? If you need to put some savings aside, what are you comfortable with? But don't sacrifice your self-care. Period. Can't sacrifice that self-care. I have a life change. COVID happened this year. Our businesses, this industry got hit pretty hard, but I knew what my budget was. 10 years practicing habits. I can look at it. I can look at it confidently just in my bank account and in my financial records, and make sure that these ideas, these goals that I want to implement this year and what I need to do for myself right now are still in alignment, or I can do something that is a little bit less but still makes me happy.
Love that. Carol?
Yes, so I'm going to come back to money and cash flow, because there's one item on cash flow that a few of us shy away from, and that's accounts receivable. When money is owed to us from other business owners, sometimes we tend to say, oh, they're friends, they're going to pay us. And time goes on and the amount is overdue. And we find it a little uncomfortable then to step out of our comfort zone to ask for this money. So I just want to share that we're all business owners. We all realize that when we get a service, there is a trade, a service for money, and don't feel uncomfortable. Just step out of your comfort zone and ask for that money. And another thing I just want to mention, that some of us may not even be aware that we are accumulating this debt. We may have looked at our parents' lifestyle and we may have seen them overspending. We may have seen them missing bill payments. So we may think that is commonplace. And like Dawn said, each person have to take ownership. And especially when you're in a couple situation, you imagine you're bringing your belief about money, your husband is bringing his belief about money. If you don't put it on the table and figure out ways to compromise and deal with money issues, it can definitely become a problem. So that's one thing for me, is making sure that you look at on your cash flow and go through line by line. Where is my money coming in from? Where is it going? Budget is fantastic. Cash flow is king as well. And another thing I just want to quickly share some ideas on is on credit cards. Right away, credit cards could have an upside and a downside. The upside is that you've got that credit card, you're getting, you can track it, you're getting credit history on there. The downside is it could be a trap. You could be spending more than you can really afford and living beyond your means. So be very careful when you're using your credit cards. So that's something I would say, list right away all your credit cards, how much you owe, and the interest beside it, and then speak to a financial advisor, and they will tell you the best way on how to deal with your debt. But that's the first step, is to list all your liabilities out so you can start dealing with it.
Yeah, love it. And we know, for those of you that are listening now and going, oof, I don't want to do that. We understand that it might be uncomfortable, but it's kind of like, in order for you to have wealth, in order for you to have that control, this is a necessary step. Dawn and Stephanie, do you guys want to add anything to that?
Sure. Two things. One, there's two sides. There's the actual physical number side, but now there's the emotional side, which we have to address the emotional first, because otherwise you're going to keep being upside down. So number one, forgive yourself. Don't have any shame, because people who are making six figures are upside down. And it's all back to because our money isn't aligned with our values. And we have these old stories that we're playing over and over. So you need to clear all that out, forgive yourself, and know that you are like totally limitless. You can create something out of nothing just by shifting your energy and getting into the vibration with a higher frequency. And then now finally, okay, we all know how to like do the budgets, track our expenses, like in the general sense. Just like we all know, okay, we know how to lose weight. But do we do it? No, you know why? Because you need accountability. You need to hire a professional, such as one of us on this call or anyone you feel comfortable with, to help get you, to coach you along, because it's so much better when you have like that accountability. And then once you get the mindset right, we're not going to get back into debt because we want to solve that. We know we're on the proper vibration. And now here's what we do with the finances. And another big thing, you totally have to be open-minded to new ideas, because a lot of stuff that we're taught out there doesn't work. Me being a CFP, I was taught all the stuff. I'm like, that's really not how you really create wealth. The wealthy people don't do it that way. So you need to get the real truth of the matter and how to handle your finances to actually build real wealth, not to benefit like government or some big financial institutions. So again, it's basically mindset to slip out of that, so we're never going to go back there. And if we do slip, we have the tools to bring ourselves back to the higher level, and then working with somebody who knows how to truly build wealth and really help you in a holistic approach, which is like Stephanie said. So there you go.
Love that. Stephanie?
Yeah, I think the biggest barrier people have is, they worry about looking at their numbers. And I always say the numbers on the page aren't judging you. The judgment and the stories are coming from our heads and our own self-judgment. So we need to find a way to try to let that go so we can look at the numbers. I sat down with a client years ago, and she was so stressed about retirement. And we looked at a couple of things, her Social Security benefit, and she was entitled to a small pension. And she said, oh, I won't be living on cat food, right? Like, it wasn't a lot of money, but she didn't know she was entitled to that benefit for the rest of her life. Like, sometimes looking at the numbers brings you peace of mind that you didn't have before.
I love that. So some notes that I took down as I was listening to you guys share, the energy. I love that we talked about when we have to get someone to pay us, right? I know so many femmes that are in that situation where they're, they have clients and the clients haven't paid them, and now it's 30 days past, and now it's 60 days past, but I love that we brought that up, because I always viewed it, and I was that person many, many years ago when I was running my PR and marketing agency. I always thought about it energetically, right? So if you feel uncomfortable in that situation, think about the energy that in life you should be receiving what you're giving. And there has to be that flow there. And so as you give, you should be receiving. And sometimes it's monetary, sometimes it's through bartering, sometimes it's through promotion. I mean, that can vary. But the reality is you need to step forward and collect that, because that's energy that you've already brought out to the world, and you need to bring it back so that you have that energy still fulfilled. And also the debt. I love that you mentioned, I think it was Dawn who mentioned that as we become some people that make six figures are still in debt. Right. And I think that's a misconception that a lot of times people say, well, once I hit $3,000 a month in revenue, I'm going to be set. And then all of a sudden they make $3,000, and then they actually now are spending more. And then they make $4,000 and they're spending more. So I love that. I think each of you touched upon the reality of seeing what that emotional connection is, what's really going on, because you will never then have enough if you haven't really faced what that narrative is, perhaps from your parents, perhaps because there's just something else going on there that you continuously spend beyond what you're bringing in. And the numbers don't lie, right? Numbers are numbers. Numbers don't lie. That's what you spent. I remember I'm older, so whatever, 25 years ago, Steve and I had purchased our first house in North Carolina, and we were hosting dinner parties every Saturday, and we were having so much fun. And then we started looking at buying investment properties, these quadruplexes. And so we had to do our budget to see if we could afford to buy these quadruplexes. I was spending $1,200 a month entertaining my friends on Saturdays at these dinner parties. I had no idea it was so much, because by the time you buy the wine and then the little appetizer and you go to the farmer's market, you buy the little vegetables, it was $1,200. I would have never, I would have thought, had you asked me, I would have been like, probably $200. I probably would have been like, oh, it's cheaper to have them all come over than going out to dinner. In my mind, I had to look at the numbers and realize, oh my gosh, this is expensive. Having friends come over is really expensive in that capacity. So I've been there before as well. Final tips as we wrap up. And it's getting staticky for me on my end. I hope you guys are able to hear on your end for those that are watching. Yeah, it's good still? Okay. Let's go ahead and give final tips for those that are looking to really make 2021 the year that they get all of their personal finances perfect, on track, and they're able to start saving also. Because I know that's another question that many femmes have, is that they can't save because they're barely making ends meet. And we have some love coming through, by the way. Samantha says, totally, the emotional connection is so important to understand. I find so many of us women have hangups surrounding money, our billing, and our self-worth. Totally, Samantha. And we're doing more classes for members in 2021, all around that, because we see it as a pattern. And Cecilia in South Texas says, all good. Nicole in Dallas is watching also, and a femme from West Coast, and Provence. Martine is watching from Provence, France. Okay, so final tips that you guys have for those that are really trying to prepare. I know there's not much we can do from yesterday, but there's a lot we can do from today moving forward. What would be a tip that you would share for these femmes? And we'll do the same roundtable, Amanda, Carol, Dawn, and Stephanie.
So 10 years ago, I didn't realize I was going to be doing my business. I didn't realize I was going to be managing and monitoring my finances as a budget. The one thing that I did was I assessed the way that money flows. Cash is king, right? We've all said it. We all kind of agree on that. But I changed the way that money flowed in, and then it was given to me. And I allowed myself to have $50 transferred into one bank account that I got to spend on myself. And that was it. And then all of my bills for my household went out of one specific account. And it wasn't the same account that my paycheck went into. So just analyzing the way that your money flows. If you only use one bank account, I'm going to highly suggest that you reevaluate the way that happens. Financial advisors, I mean, there are a million different programs out there, but just talk to somebody and start that conversation. Can you look at the way that my money comes in, and can you help me make those changes? Just ask for help. I mean, we're dealing with the same thing, and we want the mindset shift. Yeah. Even though life changed this year, I didn't really feel like my finances took a hit because I was emotionally present for everything else, and I gave myself that ability this year. And it was all based on my budget. So.
I got chills hearing you say that, Amanda. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love your story, by the way. I know we've captured it on FemCity before, but I love your story. I love that you always share from that perspective, because I think that connects with other humans. I think the more we talk about finances, the more women see women talking about it over and over again, I think it becomes more comfortable for them to ask the questions and to seek help. So thank you so much.
I had a client call me yesterday, and she said, I wanted to thank you because, last year when we started working together, I wanted to understand profit first and constantly look at my financial records. She said the same thing, even though the business was adversely affected by COVID, like most of us have been, she hadn't felt it because she really changed the way that money flowed through the bank accounts and then back to her. She changed the way that she looked at everything, and it was not just me, but it was other financial advisors, it was other business owners, and we all just kept the conversation going. No matter what our emotions are, we need to be aware of that and share it, so that way we can get back to what's important and making sure that we're at minimal financially comfortable just to live. So it's fun. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Amanda. All right, Carol.
Yes, and we've already touched on cash flow and the budgets, which we really need to have in place going forward to 2021. Evaluate how we did 2020 compared to our budget, see where we can change it up. And of course, it's going to be totally different because this was a very different year. So when you're doing your budget for 2021, remember, we're still not even clear. We still have a few more months where we're probably going to be in the same situation. So be realistic when you're setting up your budget. And as you look at your cash flow and you're managing your cash flow, see where you can cut down on certain expenses, what it is you want to do. And that if you could only do today, if you hadn't spent, and for me, and I know Violette know me and my Tim Hortons and how much I spend on coffee, and when I realized how much I was spending, I was able to put that money towards something else. One other thing I want to talk about is goals. We are now getting ready to set our goals for 2021. And one question I would ask each of you to ask yourself, are you interested in this goal or are you committed? So the difference is, if you're interested, any distractions that come along, you will swing over there because you're not 100% invested. When you're committed to that goal, you're 100% invested. Nothing can sway you, nothing can pull you. So look, when you are putting your goals together, put yourself in an emotional state. Where is it you want to be? How will I feel? What would it look like? What would it feel like when I get there? And take those feelings and bring it back to now. Feel it here in this place right now, because that's the feeling, the energy, the frequency, the vibration that you need to feel along the journey. And remember, when we get there, it's a destination, but the whole joy and fun of getting to our destination is enjoying the journey. So I wish all of you well. Thanks, Violette.
Awesome. Thank you, Carol. Dawn?
Well, one, remember, you are your number one asset. And 2020 has taught us that. We've got rid of all the frivolous spending. So make sure you save. Ideally, you want to save 20%. But depending on where you live, I know where I mean, something that might not be feasible. So at least 5, 10%, whatever you can do, pay yourself first. And then I know we touched on this a lot, and people, when they hear budgets, like, oh my God, it's going to take forever. Well, no, it's very simple. I actually have a program like those people. We're not going to sit there and nitpick, okay, how much am I paying for my Starbucks every day? You will have a program that shows you, okay, here's what you have for variable expenses. You have, like Amanda said, set up the different checking accounts, and then also you can put alerts on your credit card. So once you hit that variable spending, you're done. So it simplifies it, but again, let go of the fear and just take the first step. Remember, you're your number one asset. Do yourself first, work with a professional, because again, everyone's the whole New Year's resolution. Everyone goes to the gym at the end of January, boom, they gave up. So that professional is going to keep you there and show you how to reach those goals, and then you're going to have what you all truly want, which is financial peace of mind.
Love it. I wrote down, when you said about the savings, I wrote down that even whether it's 5% or 10% or 20%, I think what's so great is that once you start doing the 5%, you see how easy it is to save of $1, $2, $5. And it actually becomes, at least for me when I started, it became almost like an addiction to see how much I could put aside. And it felt so good to be able to do that. And it may start with $1. It may start with $2. So don't think that, oh my gosh, I have to say, how am I going to, we're living on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's not feasible right now, but just do the $1, the $2, and just setting that aside. If you can, every time you receive something, just put aside a couple bucks and a couple more bucks, and all of a sudden it becomes a habit, and it becomes so much easier to set aside that money. Stephanie, final words from you as we wrap up with your wisdom.
Final words. You don't have to know all the answers. You have to know the questions to ask and have the guts to ask them. So many women get on themselves because they're like, oh, I should know that stuff. Oh, I feel like, I don't know enough about this. That's okay. Be the person who is not afraid to ask the questions, and ask them of a professional. If you're thinking about working with a professional, ask them of your spouse or your business partners or everybody. Just start talking about money. Talk about it with your friends and your colleagues. Ask those questions so that you can get more information and make better decisions.
I love that. Yeah. And the more you talk about something, I think it's also very helpful for other women to hear you asking the questions, to hear you wanting to say, you know what, I want to do better with my finances in 2021. It gives permission to other people to also awaken themselves, to be in that space, to have better finances for 2021. So we've got some love that came through. Let me start from the top. Brenda Elizabeth Williams says, thanks, ladies. So inspiring. Again, Cecilia says, so wonderful. Thank you, ladies. And then Samantha mentioned hearing a lot of echoing at times to get rid of the echo effect. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, we just read that. I know I was hearing the echo too. It's our first time doing StreamYard with everyone on there. So thank you so much, Samantha. We'll try that for next week. All right, ladies, this was wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And I will have all of your websites or ways to get in touch with you on the FemCity library. So for those femmes that would like to watch this in the FemCity library later on, it will be there for you. And again, we're going to create more of this kind of topic for 2021 because we recognize that we just need to have more conversations about money, finances, and self-worth when we go into 2021. So if there's any way that we can serve you guys more, let us know. You can visit femcity.com. I know we're all like, yes. Yeah, so 2021 is going to be a great year. And bravo. Thank you to all of you guys for sharing all your wisdom today. I love you guys so much. Thank you for making the world a better place with your presence. And we'll see you guys back here next Monday. Thanks.